Good morning.
Good morning.
We've met. It's good to see you again.
Yes, sir, you too.
So I have some questions about what you said today. You mentioned that to Mr. Shart that Mr. Kendrick was present in the house at Allison Drive on May 9th, 2022, correct?
I don't recall exactly what his question was, but yes,
Okay. Did you actually see Mr. Kendrick in the house?
I did not.
Okay. The 6 guns that were found in that house, in Mr. Williams' house, do you have any evidence that Mr. Kendrick was ever in possession of those 6 guns?
I do not.
Do you have any evidence that he was anywhere near those 6 guns?
I do not.
Did you take part in the inventory, possession, or transport of the jewelry that was found in Mr. Williams' home?
My role during the search was to take photographs of evidence as it was recovered.
Do you recall there being 2 Richard Mille watches in Mr. Williams' home?
I don't know if I would know those if I saw them. So I don't know if there were 2 or not.
Okay. Do you recall seeing it's a Richard Mille brand. I understand you don't know what that brand would look like, but do you recall seeing a white ceramic watch with a pink band in the jewelry that you collected, or that was collected in that home?
I believe one was. Do I remember seeing it? I certainly don't. Just a couple years later.
Okay. If a Richard Mille RM055 Bubba Watson white ceramic watch is not present in property today, do you know what happened to that watch?
I wouldn't have any idea.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Yes, sir.
He thinks he remembers seeing it, though.
Detective Belknap, on cross, you were asked by defense counsel about the May 9th search of Jeffrey Williams' home. Do you recall that?
Yes, sir.
Now, you actually were the photographer of those crime scene photographs we walked through, weren't you?
Yes, sir.
Now, you remember being asked questions about, I believe it was the 6 firearms that you found in that house,
Yes, sir.
and if they have any ballistic evidence to the March 14th, 2022 murder of Shamel Drinks. Do you
Correct.
recall that?
Yes.
Now, how many months later was this search from March 14th, 2022?
That'd be 2 months later.
Was Demekion Garlington arrested on May 9th, 2022 at Jeffrey Williams' home?
He was not.
Was Shannon Stillwell arrested on May 9th, 2022 in Jeffrey Williams' home?
No, he was not.
What about Miles Farley?
He was not.
What about Quarmavius Nichols?
He was not.
Now, I want to also ask you as the photographer, I'm going to publish what's marked as 64 X-ray. It's going to come up on the big screen and on your computer. Is this one of the photographs that you took?
It appears to be.
I'm going to go to 65 X-ray. Is this one of the photographs that you took?
It is.
Why did you take this photograph?
In documenting this scene, we saw this pamphlet for Mr. McMiller's funeral. Mr. McMiller was associated with YSL, with Mr. Williams, and had been shot and killed.
What was the date that he was murdered?
It was March 11th of 2022.
And do you recall if that murder was is that a house or on a highway?
It was on the highway.
Is it, I don't have a pointer, but on this whiteboard, is that March 11th, 2022 and I-75-85?
Yeah, I believe so, yes.
And was Shamel Drinks murdered how many days after March 11th?
I believe it was 3 days later.
Now, I also want to ask you about, thank you, Mr. Vadi. You were asked on cross by defense counsel about a watch. Do you remember that?
I do.
Now, I'm just going to come out and ask you because we've been dancing around it. Did you steal any watch or know of any APD personnel who stole any item from that house?
Absolutely not.
Can you tell the jury the protocols that are in place when you document, was everyone wearing body cam?
They were.
And can you describe for the jury the process y'all have when you go through that large amount of evidence on a scene like that? In terms of, do you video when you're putting it into property?
Yes, usually our body cameras will be running during the search of the home, during the transport, and at property when submitting property.
And were you all on scene or working that case for a short time or a long time?
We were out there for several hours.
One brief moment, Your Honor. No further questions. Thank you, Detective Belknap.
Thank you.
All right, any recross? Oh, Doug's back up.
You were asked on redirect if you're aware of any member of the APD that would have stolen this particular watch I asked you about, correct?
Yes, sir.
Do you have full and total knowledge of all the activities of members of APD?
I don't.
If this particular watch, this Richard Mille watch, ceramic watch, is present in a photograph from Jeffrey Williams' home and it is no longer present in property right now. Could anything have happened to that watch other than it have been stolen or lost?
Well, no, not every item that we photograph is ultimately taken as evidence. And I think there are probably a broad number of possibilities of what could have happened to that watch other than it being stolen or lost.
Is it the practice of
Number of
your,
possibilities.
your office to leave behind a $500,000 watch when you're seizing jewelry?
I don't know that I can answer that as far as practices go. I have no idea the value of this watch that we're discussing, so I'm woefully uneducated as far as that goes. And I can tell you that, unfortunately, as diligent as we are, sometimes even evidence is left behind at scenes. In this case, I don't have any specific information about this particular watch.
Can you explain to the jury the procedure when you go about seizing a vehicle, such as was seized at Jeffrey Williams' home?
As far as the procedure, we would call a tow truck to come and tow that vehicle to another location.
Is there any searching of the vehicle and inventorying of property within that vehicle at the time of the seizure?
It can depend on the scene and if there's a search warrant for the vehicle or if the vehicle is accessible. Sometimes the keys may not be present, can't access a vehicle, and sometimes it's towed to a secure location to conduct an inventory or further processing of that vehicle.
If the vehicle is accessible at the scene and you have a warrant that allows you to enter that vehicle, what's the procedure for what you do with the contents of the vehicle?
Typically, those contents would be cataloged, valuable items may be secured, evidence may be seized.
Is the procedure to leave valuable items within the vehicle?
Not typically, and again, that could be case dependent if the vehicle is going to be removed to another secure location for further processing.
Okay, thank you. I have no further questions.
Yes, sir.
All right, thank you for your time. You are excused. Call your next witness.
Guys, we need to start using broad number of possibilities as an excuse for everything. Why were you late to work? Well, there's a broad number of possibilities. Well, what did you want to eat for dinner? Well, there's a broad number of possibilities. Like, just start using it all the time. Like, why not? If we can explain away what could have happened to a $500,000 watch besides either we didn't take it or we did take it as, oh, well, there's a broad number of possibilities. Really, there's two options there. That's all I see. So let's just start using that all the time. Like, this trial.